What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. As always, we have my man Logan Hyder of Cinema 83 LLC in the house doing his thing.
What is it?
With the production and co-hosting and doing all the good shit. And today, we have a special guest of whom I've known more in passing and stuff over the past, several years. And we just connected.
And I've actually known for about freaking 15 years.
Yeah, give it up for Mr. Monty in the house.
What's up, y'all? What up, fellas?
Yes.
Pleasure to be here, friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I discovered we were doing some shit the other day, and I just randomly turned this up for some reason, and I hit one of the buttons, and it does all this shit, and I had no clue.
I just discovered the most Howard Sternish music ad-lib thing right there.
Yeah. I think it's awesome, dude. Yes. I'm like, I didn't know I had all that. I bought it, and then Logan was like, dude, that's like a really nice
thing. This is fucking...
And I was like, I don't know. I read some reviews that was 5 stars.
Man, I love it. I love it.
So
it's so funny. The other day we were smoking in between segments, and we would come back and we'd be like, oh, shit.
Why? Nice.
We have a buddy that's a big cannabis guy. He's got his own business and everything. So it's interesting.
And we didn't talk about cannabis for 5 seconds on the whole podcast. That's why. That's the main reason why we brought him on. We didn't even talk about it.
That's fair. That's fair.
But all right, let's dive into you, man. Real quick, I want to just know what you got going on currently. Okay. Just brief, and then we'll rewind it. We'll go back.
Okay, absolutely, man. So I work in the mental health and substance abuse field. The majority of the work that I do in the field is geared toward working with people who've been through stuff and helping them build platforms to go out and talk to other people about their stuff. One of the most powerful things I think, and we all have different lived experience, man. We've all been through different stuff. Stuff is a big word.
Yeah.
But the things that we've all been through, it's really cool when people have the opportunity to tell their own stories their own way.
Yeah.
And that can be attractive to a lot of other people that are different. Everybody doesn't play traditional sports or do traditional things. Some people like to go climb trees. Some people like to cut them down.
Yeah.
So giving people the opportunity
to
tell their stories, just bam, you get these beautifully transitioned people that have just been through the dirtiest parts of life. And then when they get a voice, they can go out and help save thousands of lives given the right platform.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in the thick of that kind of work.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Absolutely, man.
That's that. I mean, similar.
Stay close to that mic for me, Monty.
That's honestly, that's kind of connects with what we're doing in our own way, right? People just of different walks all getting their story out there, man, and making an impact. So that's what that's all about, man. I love that. Anything else you got going on besides that?
Man, I work. I work at that's my professional job, my professional acumen. On the side, I teach jiu-jitsu and work with the MMA guys at Nashville MMA.
Okay.
Got a lot of that's. It's funny that the worlds connect like that because a lot of the people that are attracted to combat sports are the same people that have been through the stuff.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out an outlet, a way they can get their stories out, way they can express themselves.
Yeah.
People, you say combat sports and people think MMA, punch, kick, choke, break, all the things. In reality, man, you got a lot of guys that are just trying to find community that fits.
Yeah,
so sometimes the community's just rough.
Yeah, not everybody's trying to get CTE too. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. I mean, sounds like you got a lot of positive stuff going on because one, combat's extremely positive, and I think it's something I've seen such an uprising of it over the past several years too, man. It's becoming so mainstream.
It really is,
especially jiu-jitsu, and that's a good thing, man. That people are getting out there and it's becoming popular because that's something that's so needed. I mean, because it takes so much discipline and stuff like that, and the fact that you're so involved with mental health and addiction, man. I mean, to me, that's so huge. Obviously, what I've been through, and mental health is something I always like to pinpoint, especially with men. And getting them to become vulnerable and be strong men. And also the addiction thing, man. I used to be, hooked on pills for a while when I was younger, snorting fucking 8 Xanaxes at a time or whatever, and it was on a daily basis. And man, I went into a dark place. Fortunately for me, I looked in the mirror one day and I was looked at that person. And I was like, I fucking hate you. And I left that person there, and then I went and enlisted in the Air Force. So, and that was my shift. But yeah, man. So I relate to that a lot, and I really appreciate what you do, man.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah,
I would agree with that sentiment. By the way, I have a lot of mental health. I grew up with and still deal with family members with addiction and that kind of thing too. So, I think you're doing God's work, my friend.
Real deal. Hell yeah.
Brother.
So, let's bring it back, Monty. Let's let we want the people to get to know you a little bit. So take us as far back as you want to go, childhood or whatever, upbringing or, whatever.
We want it all.
And kind of just tell us your journey, man, and we'll bridge into some other things too.
Oh, absolutely, man. So I'm super rural. I know I live in Nashville now, but I grew up in Winchester, Tennessee, which is about hour drive that way.
It's out there.
It's out there. When I say that way, just out in the sticks.
Is that east or west? Like
east.
Yeah,
East.
my dad lives in Crossville.
Right, man, I'm on the other side, down on the bottom, right above Huntsville, Alabama is where I'm from. Right where Alabama and Tennessee meet.
Okay.
So, I grew up real rural, farm culture. Man, good parts of life. Playing in the lake, doing things that the kids don't do now.
Yeah.
Like climbing trees and falling off barns. And going and taking old cars and breaking them down, trying to put them back together, those things.
That's cool.
And that, I actually credit that type of growth in my life to being able to do a lot of the stuff I do now.
Yeah.
Because I learned independent autonomy as a kid.
Okay.
By going out and doing my own thing. Yeah. We had a gang of guys, bicycle or not, we'd meet up and then just go do things. Yeah. Build tree houses. Just, things that I think that, and I wish that we would get young people back into doing, is letting the young people get out and explore. I learned how to fish on my own. Exactly. I heard people talk about fishing. I got some fishing line, went out there, made a few mistakes, might have fell in a couple of times. Then I caught a fish. Actually caught a bass. I accidentally caught a bass, and I threw it back. And
there you were.
Yep, there I was. I learned how to fish. I still fish to this day. I don't fish with the same equipment I fished with back then. Yeah. I've graduated up.
Got some toys now.
We got some toys now, man. But yeah, I grew up in that rural space. Ended up leaving the rural communities, moved to Murfreesboro to go to college, and really,
So went to MTSU.
Yeah, went to MTSU. Graduated there. Love middle, man. Love. Yeah. All the different stuff, man. Yep. Actually, it's a funny thing. I talk about combat sports, and I didn't really think about it until today. My first roommate in college was a wrestler from Pennsylvania. Okay. So he played on the rugby team, and it wasn't technically a school team.
It was a club sport.
That's how it still is at Tennessee, like University of Tennessee right now. My fiance's cousin is both of her cousins actually played on the Tennessee rugby team, but it's not technically a sport there, which is crazy. And there's all different kind of parameters and things they can and can't do whenever it's not an official sport. It's crazy.
I think it still might be a club sport. I graduated back just like 2 years ago, but I graduated from MTSU. And I'm pretty sure it was a club sport because I wanted to do it, and then I got hit by a car, and I was like, "Oh
man, rugby, rugby and cars don't mix." Car wrecks. This guy, I went out and hung out with them and played, and I didn't know they stomp each other in the bottom of the pile. Yeah. So I went out just to play and have a good time because I grew up in a combat culture. So I was like, I'm gonna do this. Man, I got hit in the bottom of a scrum. And somebody stepped on my face, man. And I was like, I'm not doing this.
I'm good.
I'm just going to put some pads on and go kick somebody in the gym.
These dudes are dicks.
Oh, man. And it hurt. And they laughed. Like, it was not mean. It was part of the fight.
It's just part of the culture.
Yeah, it's part of the culture. I go back and rewind, go back in retrospect and look at it.
Get just a little closer. I'm sorry. Just take it with you, man. You can just bring it back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Back up and just take it with you.
I got the ice cream with me.
Yeah, there you go.
I really wish that I had learned to endure it to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I kind of knee-jerked the step to the head. He actually stepped on my face and the side of my ear. Nice. And it just mashed me on the ground.
Good.
Anyway, that's my path, man.
Good.
Yeah,
did you say good, Joe?
Good.
Did you say good?
Yeah, it builds character.
It builds character. I thought that's good, wholesome dude stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's like good, wholesome dude stuff.
Yeah. We're supposed to be doing that shit. So I love it, man. That's like basically your life. Right there. Yep. I mean, the first part of it, what was your 20-something?
What were your parents like?
Oh, man, parents cool. My mom's super into the church. She still is. My dad passed away when I was 21. But my dad was military, veteran, combat sport enthusiast. I mean, the grainy old UFC tapes. Yeah. That's all he watched.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice. we grew, my uncle's got a combat sports gym in the small town that I'm from. So I grew up that's my life growing up. So I was never against people sparring and getting energy out other than football and basketball and baseball. We love those sports. Love them. Yeah. But everybody doesn't do that. Yeah. There's a lot of other dudes that want to do other stuff. Me and my friends, I train at 6 o'clock in the morning. I do MMA, jiu-jitsu. This morning, I had two 12-year-olds that came in. a brother and a sister came in and were in there lighting people's heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, yeah.
I tell you what, I lived in a small town in North Carolina, and like I played football my whole life, and I don't even follow it now. I couldn't tell you who's who or what's what, but yeah, I mean, where I was from in North Carolina, there was like nobody did combat sports. Not that I know Definitely of. Not. It wasn't really known. Did some wrestling and shit like that, and like some friends would throw on gloves and we'd try to box. It was pretty terrible, just throwing haymakers the whole time. But yeah, man, it wasn't really. You didn't really run into it. I don't know.
Your son. Let me tell you, I'm gonna try not to jump in on it as much as possible, but your son. Let me just tell you, when it comes to this is hilarious to hear you say this, because it's like, I remember, first of all, it's hilarious. Like, it's not hilarious. I'm sure there's a reason why you guys have the same name, but I was telling Margaret yesterday, my fiance, I was like, guess who we're interviewing tomorrow? I was like, we're interviewing Monty Burks' dad, Monty Burks. And she was like, what? No way. And, but anyways, Monty did combat sports, I'm assuming.
He did. He won quite a few fights.
Gotcha. That's what I thought. So whenever we were in high school, he tried out for football a couple times, and he was very athletic, very strong, and I knew that about him. But it's a different sport. It's just different. We've been playing that shit since I was 5 years old. But if I had to go do a kickboxing thing with him or wrestle him, he'd probably kick my ass. So it's just interesting because to see hearing you talk about it, and then to remember him, and I don't know, it is different. And also, I just wanted to say real quick too, is that as much as I loved playing football, it's a huge part of my life. My dad played it, so I'm glad that I did did something he did, etc. But I've already said my kids are going in combat sports as soon as they can walk, and they're not playing football. They're not. Yeah. They're just not, because
CTE.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have a picture of my daughter.
If I'm gonna go risk my head like that, I'm gonna go learn some shit. What the hell do I need to learn how to run a slant route for? You know what I mean? I could go break you off in the yard out here on a slant route, great. But if something happens. So that's why I ended up getting into boxing. But yeah, my point is that I think that there's a hierarchy of what's actually valuable, and I think combat sports is way higher than traditional sports.
Oh yeah, it's like I was like, man, our daughter, obviously, she's gonna like what she likes, and I'm very intentional, and I'm very focused, and if I notice she's gifted in this way or that way, I'm definitely gonna help push whatever her heart, wherever her heart guides. Sure. But I definitely am like, hey, I want to get her into jiu-jitsu, I had this picture I took of her. She had her hands up funny, but she was just like this. And I was like, all right, yeah, we got a little fighter right here.
Man, I love that, man. The combat sport, so I played sports in high school, but we didn't have a wrestling team. We didn't have, and then jiu-jitsu we didn't even know what that meant.
What the hell is jiu-jitsu?
We thought everything was judo and karate.
Yeah.
That's the two, because there were two big words that people had. And then we started getting into gyms and the popularity rose. But I say, listen, I'm throwing a shameless plug for jiu-jitsu. Get your kids into it.
Yeah.
If you look at the hierarchy of needs, one of those things is survival, how to survive. Yeah. And teaching someone how to take care of themselves opens a whole lot of doors, man. Confidence levels on 100, on 1,000.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard.
When somebody's not afraid when somebody puts their hands on them.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too, is I love boxing, and I'm a proponent of boxing, but I'm also not an idiot. And if I'm in front of somebody who does jiu-jitsu, I'm like, bro, I ain't trying to fuck with you, dude. Yep. I can throw hands, but as soon as you grab me, I am fucked. So
man, throw a good right hand.
Yeah, I got one shot. I got one shot. If I can catch you coming in, or if I can get you before you try to do something.
So I will say there's benefits to both, because if I see someone coming at me some way, but
I'm saying if you miss and
they
shoot underneath you when you go to do that, you're done.
Look at UFC.
You never know. You go either way.
Oh yeah, man. The old UFC fights, the old grainy
weight classes.
VHS tape, no weight
classes, no rules.
There's a guy from up north. His name was Art Jimmer. So if you look at the old tapes, this guy goes in. And he's got one box. Nobody really knew what to expect in the beginning tournaments. It's just a bunch of random guys from around the world that said, I'm going to be the best fighter.
This shit did not exist.
It didn't exist.
Didn't exist 30 years ago.
One boxing glove on and one free hand. He was going to use the free hand to grapple and box because he was really good at boxing. And then he went in, and a guy that could wrestle went in and double-legged him and took him down.
And it was over with.
And the boxing glove ended up being his worst enemy because he had one hand. He couldn't defend himself.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's like the worst chess move he could have ever made.
I don't know what he was thinking going into that.
But the thing is, I'll be honest with you.
Interesting at first, but
it looked interesting. I think that he might have been the big dog where he trained. So he had guys that were coming at him that weren't real grapplers, so he could probably get away with something like that. Yeah. But when you got a straight up dog that's going to come and take you off your feet, That's a different ball game. You got to know like how to translate your fight skill. And by the way, boxing and wrestling are two of the things that if anybody can ever learn when they're young, that's two of the top things. Boxing and wrestling.
Oh yeah,
as two. If you can fight if you're gonna fight, those are the two things you learn, and then you add jiu-jitsu.
Okay, I was about to say, so you would do those, but even before jiu-jitsu.
I do those first. Hand-eye coordination, man, whole different ball game, man. Person boxing knock your grill out.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fact, man. Especially my brother Brett. You know, he does BKFC now, but he was a wrestler, and then he was doing jiu-jitsu for a while. He was really good at jiu-jitsu fast because he had such an extensive wrestling background, and you know, of course, then he started boxing and. He's a natural at that, and look where he's at. But there's so much to it, man. And and I do got to add on to this. Have you heard of King of the Streets? It's Joe Rogan talked. I was talking about it a while back, and then Joe Rogan actually started talking about it. But it's
about how fucking crazy it is. That's
what talking about people coming in from all over the world. And they get together. It's like underground.
Oh yes, I've seen it online.
Yeah, I've actually
just like random guys, man.
Dude, they come from
and fight on
like
concrete,
stomping each other's faces and shit. Yeah, like it's brute, biting ears off. Like one guy,
I was like, whoa, yeah.
I actually was like, I talked to them. I was in contact with the people that run it about sponsoring it and having like RP banners all around the ring. That'd be so and but it was pretty pricey. But I was like, one day though, people are gonna be watching King of the Streets and see Relentless Pursuit just because I think it's cool as fuck. Like it's brutal. There's no rounds, no rules. Like those guys are killers. Savage. But I mean. I find it entertaining though because those guys at the end of the day, they're just fucking.
They're just throwing down, dude.
They're really throwing down. They're having fun. So think about this and put it in context. We watched the movie Fight Club. Actually predicted that this kind of thing was going to happen. Tyler Durden's whole character.
Yeah.
All those guys going in the basement. Dads, fathers, religious folks, teachers. Rule number one is don't tell about Fight Club. You got these guys that went in there and they had to get it out. I think that exploring alternative ways to get the energy level out makes people be better people. I'll never not say that because I trained in cages with guys that would come in. I'd see them go in the locker room with a suit and tie on and look super professional and come out there and smoke a guy that looked like he fought for 20 years. Out. Yeah, they get in there and get it all out like the deadly deacons.
They can't do that at their corporate job.
No, they can't do that at their corporate job, so they'll just come fight somebody.
Dude, it's funny because Lydia's noticed. I mean, she's like, I get a little overwhelmed sometimes. She's like,
don't fucking punch.
She's like, you need another fight soon. And I'm like, but she notices it, man, because it is a good outlet, dude. And I enjoy it after a fight. You're all busted up, knee blown out, but I'm like, hell yeah, man, that was a good time.
That was a good time, man.
we were talking about Joe Rogan. I remember one time he talked about he said there was something else I was about to say, but he said something about that. And he's like, I guess they asked him like, I guess somebody asked him like, I don't know how you're not like pissed off all the time or something. Like with all these people you talk about, you're always talking about what's going on. And like most people, I don't know. He asked him some kind of question like that. And he's like, dude, I train 6 days a week to kill people, to murder people. And he was like, so whenever I come in here, I'm good to go. He's like, you know what I mean? Because I'm getting all that shit out.
That's fair. I think if Joe Rogan could hear this right now, that Joe Rogan you and him should do a cross interview because he talks about the way he talks about it, but you talk about the same thing the way you talk about it. I think that's good cross-pollination for people to listen to.
Joe, listen up.
Hey, listen, yeah.
Listen,
we love
Joe.
This is a clip. This is going to be a clip. Joe, we're tagging him a million times.
Tagging him a million times. Caleb Presley, we're tagging you too because we can't get to Joe. We'll get to you, Caleb.
That motherfucker funny.
That'd be some shit.
That dude is funny as hell, bro.
I ran into him in Nashville. Like he lives he's in the area over where you box.
Oh, really?
I was at the L&L market and I saw him and just busted out laughing. I literally saw the guy.
Just started busting out laughing.
I wanted to say hi to him. I just started laughing.
Dude, he's so funny.
I didn't know he lived here. Is he the guy that's on Barstool?
Barstool guy.
Yeah, with the ice cream dude?
Yes, man. Yeah. He lives somewhere in Nashville.
His shit's funny, man. How he does his interviews with that straight face.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, you kill me.
Dude, the dry humor is amazing.
He got the Morgan Wallen video he did.
I was going to say that was great.
Hilarious.
That was great. He said you can use this credit card. It's canceled, but it still works. That was so good.
Hell yeah, man.
He said, what's a musical artist #1 tool? And he said, I don't know, your throat. And he goes, so would it be fair to call you the throat god?
Throat god.
And Morgan Wallen's like, what? He's like, I don't even know. I remember one time, dude, and I swear to God, I'll stop, but he interviewed Kevin Gates one time. And
I saw that one.
That one was so fucking funny. And about halfway through, you realize why it's so funny because Kevin Gates just says out loud, he's like, bro, my people did not tell me anything about this. Like, I thought this was just a normal interview. And he's like so confused at everything that's going on.
That's one of those Theo Von kind of interviews. Like, what?
Theo is the man, bro. The way he sees the world is fascinating.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy.
Oh, is he now?
Yes, he is.
Didn't he go to Nashville MMA?
Yes, he trains at Nashville MMA. I hadn't seen him in a while, really? But I've seen him in the gym.
Well, if you cross paths, let him know about this podcast.
Man, for sure.
Hey,
man.
he's Mike. Let him
he's
know
a great
too.
guy. He's pretty good, man. I didn't fully know who he was the first time I saw him in the gym. I knew he was a comedian.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if he calls himself a comedian. He's just Theo. He's just an enigma.
Dude, I don't really get into comedians. I mean, there's some comedians that are in funny movies, but I never really watch stand-up. But Theo's one of those dudes I could watch all his little fucking clips, and I'm dying.
The little cartoons, like the cartoons that he puts out. And so that's how I found out who he was. And I mean, he was in there like no superstar, nothing. He went in there, put the gi on, wrapped his belt around,
did his thing.
and did his thing. Went at full combat.
That's cool.
I like to see stuff like that because everybody needs to get it out. Yeah, everybody does, man.
And you don't have to be there. You know what I mean? Yep. You don't have to be there. Does Ben still run Nashville MMA?
Yep. Ben's one of my training partners, man. Ben Grove.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Ben's tough.
That's my guy.
Sweet.
Yeah, he just won a world championship in the last few months, man.
Really?
So he took a little break.
Break
to get it all fixed back up. That's a wear and tear on the body.
I bet. Yeah. Tell myself what's up. I haven't talked to Ben in a while.
We'll do.
I worked with him. I did a video with him when they were in the Nashville MMA underneath the fucking, I don't know, all that shit over there where you had to pull into
Gallatin
the back.
Road, you had to go into the back. We're the underground.
Yeah. I worked with, I did a little bit with him back then. It was pretty fascinating to see whenever they moved into, because they took over fight camp, right? Or training camp, or what's it called?
They merged Michael Chandler, from the UFC, now UFC, who's about to fight Conor McGregor.
Yeah, he's also on
They
Tough.
partnered. Yeah, all those dudes are tough, man. Look,
they're on Tough, TUF, like the
Ultimate Fighter show, but tough.
But tough, yeah.
Yeah, I've been in the gym with Chandler too. He's
savage.
He's
a savage.
Well, this isn't about them though. We want to know more about your combat journey.
Come on, let's do it. Fair enough.
No, all these people are fascinated, man, and like obviously, Joe. Check that out, Theo, everybody. But no, I do want to know about your combat journey because you're a black belt, and that's dedication right there. How old are you, anyways?
Man, I am 47.
47.
OG, man.
Looking good, dude.
Thank you. It's the acai berries.
Hey, I'll keep that in mind.
Yes, man. Yes. I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt under Sean Hammonds. Sean Hammonds.
Why do I know that name?
Sean Hammonds was the original, architect of Nashville MMA.
Gotcha.
So me, Ben, all the guys we named, all of us, trained under his train. He's one of the best guys in the world, man. That training. When I first started doing jiu-jitsu, I was blind. I was blind to it all because I had actually started doing MMA fights before I learned jiu-jitsu. I had basic grappling, a little bit of wrestling. I knew some submissions. I knew some wrestling. Yeah. I knew some wrestling. So I managed to win a few fights without having that core construct of a real jiu-jitsu program. And I ran into these guys here in Murfreesboro called Guardian MMA. So they're still here.
Yep.
And the guy, Matt Moscoviak, who's the black belt coach, he and I started doing jiu-jitsu together about 14, 15 years ago. It might have even been longer than that. So the average jiu-jitsu black belt takes anywhere from 8 to 10 years. So you go to other martial arts, it might take you a year, 2 years, maybe 3 to get a black belt. But if you understand that side of combat sports, it's more muscle memory. You'll know.
Yeah.
If a person, you go grab somebody and they say they're a black belt in jiu-jitsu and you push them down, somebody's not telling the truth. Somebody's not being fully expressive.
Yeah.
So look, man, that journey, man, Joe, friend to friend, athlete to athlete, the jiu-jitsu experience changed me. Because I dealt with some demons, growing up, man. I moved away from my family, got involved in everything in the world that I shouldn't have lived through. And
you want to elaborate on that at all?
Man,
please,
absolutely,
yeah.
100.
Yeah, hit us with it.
Man, so, my father passed away when I was 21.
Okay.
And my dad was combat sport enthusiast. He's also my best friend. So we dove into all the stuff together. We went to watch fights. We used to break down boxing matches, man. This is before the internet. There was no internet then.
Yeah.
But we would jump down right on a piece of paper, like what the guy did wrong, the footwork, everything we could, because we dissected fights. That's what he did. He was sick. He was sick the last 8 years of his life. He had a massive heart attack when I was young, and it ended up all the complications associated with it took him out. But he made me promise that when he passed, that I would stay engaged and active in something. He said, "You gotta stay active." He said, "What took me out didn't have to take me out.
Yeah.
He said, if you stay active, it won't get you.
So keep moving.
Keep moving. And I'll tell you in a minute how that seed planted is actually why I'm sitting with you. If I hadn't listened to him, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now. But when he passed away, man, I kind of felt, I got a little out there on my own. I was in school. I decided to stop doing school and start doing life.
Yeah.
And life kind of got a hold of me. I battled some serious addictions, man. I ended up quitting school, got myself in a bunch of trouble. And
when you say you quit school, you talking about high school or
college?
College.
I quit college. Yeah, college. I was in MTSU. I just stopped going to class. I was trying to fill the void of a parent, somebody that I'd been around my whole life, with something else.
Yeah.
So what I did is I found a lot of other folks that were just as miserable as I was. So we surrounded ourselves for that community. And man, I was given grace. I got an opportunity to better myself, and I did. Some people actually loved me in the worst spots in my life and said, "Hey, you can do better than this. Let me love you."
Oh yeah.
And then that's when combat sports came in, right in the middle of while I was trying to control, alt, delete. Somebody threw me a set of boxing gloves and said, "Why don't you get back at it? We know you." I trained since I was a kid. I've been in the Taekwondo space, wrestling, all the other sports. And somebody said, "Why don't you do this to get some new community?" Man, I got in there. I'm gonna tell you what happened. First time I put those gloves on, this old guy, like 57 years old. I was probably like 26, 27. He hit me right smack dead in the middle of my face and put me on my butt. He knocked me out. Yeah. And I set up and got up. And I looked around, and this is what words came out of my mouth and said, "He knocked me out, didn't he?" And they were like, yeah, you were out. But you got up. You got up.
Hell yeah.
I've never turned back since then. I wasn't mad at him.
I was curious. That's a moment. You could either be so embarrassed that you don't come back. That's how I've been there.
Yeah. I was taught that I don't know everything.
Yeah.
He proved to me that I don't know everything, and I was young, full of testosterone, full of young man. I can beat the world up. It's mine.
Dude.
Got drilled.
One thing I noticed before, and we'll get back to where we were at on your story. She used to go there, and it's kind of crazy to see like the difference. And what I mean by this is that you'd walk up to Phoenix in May, and it's in Mount Juliet now, but you'd walk to where it was, and right next to it was some kind of gaming place. And so we'd all be in there rolling, like beating the shit out of each other. And then you like walk by that place, you look in there, and there's people like, if you're into like playing card games like Dungeons and Dragons, cool. Like I had some friends that wanted to get me into it, and I was like, I'll play some shit. Like, I'm a nerd, man. I love fantasy stuff anyways, but not to like knock the people for their interest by any means, but I look in there and you got these guys sweating, just like going hard. And then you got people that are like, I hate to say it, like probably 90% of them were very obese. They're drinking sodas and playing card games. I'm like, man, what a crazy, total opposite sides of the spectrum. Like they're fantasizing.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like they're fantasizing about these heroes through this game, but we're creating our own hero over here. Does that make sense?
Man, oh, absolutely, man.
And I thought it was just a really wild contrast. And I'd walk by, I never said anything to anybody, but I'd like always notice it. I'm like, damn.
Man, I've got it. So it's funny. It's funny that there have been guys that have come into gyms to train that did that and then said, okay, I'm good in this, so I'm going to be good at this. And then they get a real rude awakening when they're a 250-pound person and a 115-pound young lady goes in there and triangle chokes them and then just puts them to sleep.
That seems like a very, very common story with people that start jiu-jitsu, especially people that are the bigger guy. Like they're like, dude, I thought for sure I was gonna go in there because I'm so big. And the story is almost always, dude. But then I got choked out by somebody 100 pounds smaller than me, and I realized.
It happened to me.
Me at Phoenix, yeah.
Happened to me.
I went in there and I was like, I'm like biggest, like strongest dude here, you know, like hell yeah. And like in my mind, I know I have that. And then Corey fucking, I don't even want to go there. Man. Corey put my ass down. He's all over the place. I'm like, how do you do this, man?
Is it because you know how to leverage your own strength against you?
So the reason the black belts take so long, it's the muscle memory. You look at the Centurions, you look at the Warriors, you look at the Spartans. They started training young, and for hours a day, they did the exact same movements. Yeah. It wasn't real complicated. It wasn't something that's fantastical. It's repetition, muscle memory, repetition. I played football my whole life.
Yeah.
So I have a football IQ where I can look at a football game now and tell you 80% of the stuff that's going on just watching it on TV.
Yeah.
So think about that in fight culture.
Detailed technique.
In detailed techniques. Like, oh man, he's got his foot out, he's fixing to pull. He's all these things.
Yeah.
In the fight culture, the jiu-jitsu stuff is the same way. Hours on the mat make you feel like you're a ton heavier than somebody. You'll get somebody that's just not done it. Their muscles aren't used to moving like that. So you're moving. And, I roll with guys that are twice my size.
Yeah. And
I can usually outwork them. And they're my level. They can outwork me with size, will work. But unless they have a lot of hours, I can usually outmove them. And that's real common. And Corey, man.
Corey can make himself feel twice as much heavy as I am. I'd be like, dude, how do you distribute your weight in such a way? And he could just move it. He knew exactly where I was trying to move or whatever.
He catches where your body's at its weakest point.
Yeah.
And that's where he applies pressure.
Yep.
It's at all times your body's got a weakness. That's where martial arts are really good. Martial arts are not just self-defense. They're also very good forms of attack. They teach you how to, you said leverage earlier. It teaches you to pinpoint weakness. Boxing. People in boxing will throw 3 punches at your head to make you put your hands up and then punch you in the stomach.
Yep.
They make you expose. There's an old I forgot the story, but talks about a dragon. The dragon's got one hole in the dragon. You can only kill a dragon by shooting an arrow in the hole in the dragon. I think they actually took that in Lord of the Rings, one of the old stories. But there's always an exposure somewhere. But you got to
from the Hobbit.
Yeah, from the Hobbit. From the Hobbit. Yes, there's always an exposure somewhere, and I mean that's how boxing, kickboxing. Muay Thai fighters will kick you in the leg 3 times, and then when you can't walk anymore, they'll punch you in the face.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man.
And this is what I like, but the difference between like jiu-jitsu and boxing, though, I will say. Well, a lot of boxing's, I love boxing. But jiu-jitsu, you're always working against somebody else.
Yeah.
But then one thing I noticed, and you see it a lot with influencers and stuff, I talked about this recently, they'll show all these videos of them punching a dummy or a bag, and they'll make themselves look like a superstar. But not once do you ever see them doing that against somebody else. And that's one thing with boxing. People are like, oh, I box. It's like, no, you hit a bag. Like, you don't box because, trust me, it's a whole different story when someone pops your nose. And you're like, oh, shit, like all that stuff I practiced over and over again.
Bro.
Ain't applying. It changes the game, dude.
Man, I'll tell you something, man. Everybody's tough till you get punched in the face. Old Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson saying, when I got dropped, the time I got punched and got dropped on my butt, I got up and asked the guy, how did you hit me? What did I do to it? I wanted to know how I exposed I wanted to know how I exposed myself. Because I was like, hey, man, I was 20-0 in the streets. You hear that often. I was 20-0 in the streets.
I was 20-0 in the streets.
Probably 3 or 4 of those against the same person the same day. But, I was 20-0 in the streets. And this guy was like, hey, he said, as soon as you came in, he said, you were young, you bouncing around. He said, I knew you were going to come straight forward. So he said, I just moved and punched you in the face. He said, I moved and as soon, he said, I just angle, punched you in the grill. Lifelong lesson for me.
Right,
I don't know everything.
That's where we were left off at, because you were like, you were saying you were this kid that thought you got it. You were tough, all this stuff. And I remember thinking right before we took the break, I was sitting there thinking, I reflect on my younger self, and I'm like, man, I thought I was so fucking tough.
Man,
me now would rip that kid in half. Like it's nothing, like child's play. And I'm like, dude, I'm glad I didn't get really fucked up. But, because I used to be really hot-headed too. And what's weird is as I'm grown, I've become more lethal. I'm not a hothead. I mean, I can be temperamental, but I'm not like I was, man. I'm not trying to start shit or yelling at people. Like, I'm just fucking a lot more chill. It's just crazy how things shifted.
Absolutely,
almost
man.
Opposite.
It's because you know.
I was about to say.
It's because you know what you will do, and you know what you can do. It changes you.
Yes.
It changes you. And I look at I love the book The Art of War, Sun Tzu.
Yep.
And you mix that with a little bit of the 48 Laws of Power, and it's a humbling experience if you've been through something.
I read both of those. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Rule number 1: never outshine the master. That was like the first law of power is never outshine the master. And when I first read the book, I was like, whatever, man. Every kid wants to be better than the coach.
What the hell has that got to do with anything?
Like, what does that got to do with anything? And then I really thought about it. Is you have all of these seasoned people that go before you. They're giving you pieces of them so you can be better. Not for you to necessarily attack and beat them, but so you can defeat all of your demons.
Yeah.
So, and That's not the person you go after. You don't go after that person. You go after, they give you all those tools so you can go after life, man.
They're giving you a gift.
They're giving you a gift. And sometimes you look at some of the older fighters and teachers, any kind of teacher, mechanics, older mechanics. There are things they can no longer do, or technology's outgrown them.
Yeah.
But they've given the basics to somebody.
Yeah.
So they can go to the next generation or the next level, man, and just change stuff, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the video of the guy who the box? It's just two guys in the ring together, but it's this guy from the streets and then a boxing coach, and the boxing coach like basically beats the shit out of him, but it's because the guy like told him that his intention was to come in there and fight him, like the coach, and he'd never boxed before, and he was just talking about how he fights all the time in the streets and shit, and the boxing coach was basically like, all right, cool, put the gloves on, and like he's basically just chilling, and dude's like, and he throws a punch and he just kind of like dodges it. And then eventually, he didn't do anything crazy, but eventually he goes, pop, 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 put him down. Yeah. And the dude's like, what the fuck? He gets up, starts swinging like crazy. And then the coach starts talking to him. And he's like, man, you come into a boxing gym and you come to the coach and tell him you're about to kick his ass. He said, what are you talking about? You don't know what. He said, you have no idea what you're stepping into. And he's just telling him, like humbling the fuck up in words. And by, he'd hit him and he'd drop and he'd go like, you don't like, this is what happens when you are a dumbass and you come in trying to act like that.
You open it. That's an open door conversation for a whole other comment. I see what you do. I know you showed me your workspace.
Yeah.
I wouldn't come into your workspace and tell you anything. I would tell you what my goals were, and then I would reach to you as a coach. I'm a respectful man. I say, bro, help me get there. Help me get there with your tools.
So I run into this, and then that's a huge pet peeve of mine. And actually, so I'm putting out a flyer, later today or Monday, to pick up more clients. And one line that says, I'll only work with people that are willing to hold themselves accountable and trust the process.
Trust the
and
process,
the process
man.
is what I put you through. But I've had clients that have, I think this works for me. I think that works for me. I don't want to do this. This isn't working. Almost like, are you following diet? No, that doesn't matter. And I'm like, I've given you all the tools. If you're not progressing, it's on you. And that's a fact because I know what I'm doing. Look at my testimony. I built myself from completely fucking broken. Man. And you can't top that right now. So for your journey, for you not be hitting new milestones, that's all on you. And so, yeah, that's the same thing. But if I go to anybody else's arena, if I go to like a boxing coach, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I've had some bare knuckle fights. I could take you out. Like I'm going to be like, hey, what can you teach
I learn
me?
from you?
I respect that and trust what they got going on.
Man, absolutely, man. You trust the process, then you embrace the process.
Yeah.
I know you're a pro at what you do. And your testimony in and of itself of you literally were broken to pieces and rebuilt it. So if someone were to train with you and not trust that process, maybe they're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other great places for them to go work out where they can work out by themselves.
Yeah, maybe people will give you what you want, but that's not my job. I'm giving you what you need.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
It's the same thing in my business. Do people hire me and then it's like I tell them to do something and it's like they want to do it a different way. I've had people straight up tell me like, dude, I could learn how to do this on YouTube. And I'm like, well, then fucking do it. Why are we talking?
Start your own business.
Why are we talking then?
Why don't you use AI for it? I don't fucking know.
And then I have other people that, they'll spend hundreds or thousands of dollars with me to make stuff and then they don't fucking post it, for example. And I'll be like, brother, you hired me to help you and you're only like, you won't, what are you doing? I don't understand.
Man? What are you doing?
Some people just blow my mind, but I mean, that's the way of the world, man.
We should hop back to him,
man.
Yeah. But anyway,
that wasn't too far. That was great on topic of the general theme, but let's definitely get back to the story.
Yeah.
So you were saying you got hit in the nose that day. You thought you were all tough, and I guess you had been introduced by those people. Like I guess
you were given
people
boxing
introduced
gloves.
you to that.
Yeah, so people introduced me to that, man. So it was part of my recovery from. So the definition of what I'd been through. You look at it, it's just I had been through some piss and vinegar. All the things. I'd been through all the things that I wasn't supposed to survive from.
Yeah.
And I needed a new community. So my new community turned out to be combat sports. Mm-hmm. That's literally what got me to where I'm at now, man. I'm a very prayerful, spiritual person. I needed somewhere to let these go. I needed somewhere to let it fly. I'm a smart guy. I've got, degrees meant nothing if I was walking around my house pacing in circles, full of trying to let it out.
Yeah.
So I worked in the gym. I did pull-ups. I played basketball, all the stuff. It wasn't until I got hit in the face really good that I realized where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And that's like going into that culture. And then I started to go to different gyms trying to find a home. finding like, where am I going to go? And I went and ended up doing some work in a kickboxing academy. And I had a background there. So I was like, okay, I can vibe here a little bit because they throw little legs, throw little hands. And I still couldn't find what I wanted, man. And then the MMA craze hit. Everybody, the cages went up. Yeah. It was 2008. That's when it all happened.
People don't understand that that's not even this is a brand new sport.
Absolutely, man. It wasn't legal in Tennessee to 2008.
Yeah. Also,
you had some guys that. Oh,
damn. Uh-oh. I put on hold.
Is it because I'm short?
No, it's just you're doing this, but the mic's pointed downward, so that should be better.
All right.
Now you can kind of do your normal, natural motion a little bit.
Okay.
Because it's pointed upward now.
Hey, next time you come back, you're going to be a master with a mic.
Man, I'm a god.
Trust me,
drop a beat.
I think you and everybody else.
Okay. Just tell me when to go.
You're good.
You're going to cut, slice, and edit and all.
Yeah,
he's going to be he's dope.
No,
dope.
He does well. Yeah.
For the most part, I don't cut anything, but I'll cut that part out.
But you got into the Muay Thai gym.
Yeah, got into a Muay Thai / MMA gym.
Oh yeah, the MMA craze hit.
That's the MMA craze. Yeah, 2008, man. We actually had some of the people here in Middle Tennessee are the ones that actually went out and pushed to have it legalized in our state. We legally couldn't have an organized, sanctioned MMA fight in Tennessee till 2008.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild, man. And so 2009 came around, and we were knee deep into the fight culture, and then some Nashville MMA and a couple of other different entities all together just started putting fights on. You know, and my first fight was actually in Murfreesboro at the Boys and Girls Club. Best boy, I know, man.
That's interesting.
That's interesting, man. It was my first. We had fought for years, but not organized.
Yeah.
We'd fought in gyms and barns,
Jorge
backyards. Yeah, man. With serious.
Yeah.
Combat guys, tape the hands up. Yeah. Let's mix it up. No hatred. None of us ever hated each other.
Yeah.
We just wanted to get, it was literally a relentless pursuit of aggression, but calculated aggression.
Yeah, you just wanted that action.
Yeah,
you know
just
what I'm
wanted
saying?
the action, man. I was getting ready for the fight stuff, man, and I ended up going into a few of the fights with no background, and this is what got me to the jiu-jitsu, man. I was trying to get to where I got to jiu-jitsu. So I knew to progress in the fight world that I was going to have to pick up the other stuff because eventually somebody's going to get me off my feet.
Yeah.
I went and put a gi on, just the top. And this guy pulled me down and choked me out about 5 seconds. I'm talking, man, little bitty dude, man. He put it on me, dude. Then he let me up and he choked me again. And then he let me up, and this all happened. I think he got me 4 or 5 times in 5 minutes. In a 5-minute round, that was the longest 5 minutes that I ever had. So
you were humbled quick.
I was humbled, man. God. I walked over to the desk after I was done and said, "Hey, can I buy one of those uniforms?" And they had a camouflage one, was the only one they had in stock. So I bought a camouflage, and I was not in the military. My dad was in the military. Just want to preface that. So I brought the camouflage gi, put it on, and proceeded to get choked out for weeks until I started figuring out the muscle memory taught me not to do stuff. Like, don't go there. Stranger danger. Yep. Don't put your head there. Don't put your neck there. And that kind of was my path and process. I went back to school. Dude, MMA got me to go back to college.
Yep.
All of it mixed together was why I got the fog cleared, went back to school,
It disciplined you, man.
Yeah, man.
And you were disciplined enough from that to go to college and actually succeed.
Man.
I mean, that's why when I first went to college, I told you about the pills and everything.
Yep.
I went to the military. Okay, now I'm an adult and I can get paid to go to school. And now, this time I was ready to roll because I didn't have no business partying with fucking, young ass kids. I'm just going to go to school and get my shit done. And I was such a better student, but I needed that discipline.
You got get it. It's almost, you had to almost like a young puppy. You got to run it out. You got to get it out of you so you won't run out in the street and get hit by a truck.
Exactly.
Man, it just that experience, man, is something I've been able to translate because I openly talk about, the troubles that I had in my past. I openly talk about trying to fill the void of losing my father. I don't mind sharing because men that are not afraid to be vulnerable become stronger.
Yep.
You have to be able to talk about the weak spots. If you don't, you're lying. You're being totally dishonest with yourself and everybody beside you.
Yep.
That's why it's really good.
And you're killing yourself slowly, man.
You're killing yourself slowly, man. You don't have to be the smartest and the toughest guy all the time. You just might have to be able to adapt and overcome in a space.
Yeah.
I would, just from us hanging out today talking, just from seeing the equipment, I just like looking at the equipment as an example. I'm going to survey the land. And all right, I saw a couple of things and I really wanted to work on. I'm like, man, I'm going to ask Joe. I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
I want you to get me stronger at a weak spot so I can be stronger for my family.
Hell yeah.
Help me be stronger for my family. One of those things is through understanding and recognizing emotions, man.
Yeah.
Bro, it's cool. I ain't saying everybody's got to go and cry. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is if you got somebody you love and you don't feel good and something's going on up here, say something to them.
Yeah.
Bro, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay, man.
And we were talking about this the last podcast because Mike and I were talking about our relationships with our women.
Wednesday,
yeah. And like we just have these really. Actually, I was on the phone with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was talking about how he was dealing with a lot of shit, and like his woman is the first person he can share that with, and like same with mine. You know, like with mine, I can be truly vulnerable with, and she doesn't judge, man. She just has supported me through shit. The problem is too, and I had a female actually telling me this that does psychology and stuff, and she was like, you know, a lot of it is like women not allowing their men to be vulnerable because looking at it as a weakness. So a lot of guys are closed off because they feel like if they show this to a woman that they're weak, and then that's a fucking problem because that builds up, man. But you know, I think on both ends we need to allow that. You know, we need to, as men, we need to be more vulnerable and get these things out and express them in a healthy way. But I think women also need to, you know, allow that too and be like, hey, because guess what? My woman, if I've gone into tears, she doesn't be like, oh, he can't protect me now. Like my woman's confident as hell that like she's safe and she's taken care of and that I'm a good man. But like she also understands like, hey, I go through shit and she's going to help me through it.
Yep. And you have the dialogue with her to have the open-ended conversations, man. I just did a podcast, just a little 10-minute snippet on suicide prevention with one of the largest churches in the country here. It's in Nashville. And one of the things that we talked about in that space is vulnerability. People have to feel like it's okay to talk about the stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a person weaker to tell you what's broken.
Yeah.
And we put it in a context, take it out of emotions. All right, my arm is broken. All right, I need to tell you my arm is broken, so in case you need me to use it and I can't use it.
Yeah.
This is why I can't use my arm.
Yeah.
So if you're in a spot that you have that something that needs to be dealt with, deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Muscle memory is a beast. Once you learn you can deal with a problem, then you can build a process to address the problem, and then you can do your asset map. Pull my wife, my kid, my daughter, my son, my gym. All of these things become tools for a better me.
Yep.
But you have people that don't say anything, and then you see them somewhere and they've retreated from everything, and they're hanging out with people that they probably shouldn't hang out with, and they're exposing themselves to all kinds of things that are going to make them dirty.
Yeah, because they've held it in, they're suffering.
Yep,
they're
suffering,
and they don't even realize it.
Have you seen that commercial? It's about mental health, and it's about men. It seems to be about men specifically, but where he's lifting the weights. Have you seen that commercial?
I'm not sure.
It's a commercial where this guy's like, he's got like 225 on the bench or something, and he goes to do it, and basically he gets stuck. You know, he can't lift it. And so this dude's doing curls, and he notices this, and he's like, oh shit. He's like, hey, like, can I help you out? And he's like, no, man, I'm good. And then the guy's like, what? Like, I can just pull it off. He's like, no, dude, you don't know my family. And he's like, I can, you're confused. And then it goes, don't be afraid to ask for help or something. It's like a mental health PSA.
That's pretty cool.
And it is pretty cool.
It is, because that's it. That is kind of, it's like, dude, I can see that you're struggling. You're not hiding anything from anybody.
What are we taught as grown up, especially in this part of the country? What are we taught? Fix it.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it. Fix it. You know, my grandfather's grandfather, anybody, all those years down the road, I would go try to fix stuff that I had no business trying to fix because I thought if I could fix it, I would have the appearance of being smarter and tougher than I was. That's why I go back to that boxing match, man. It was good to know that I didn't know everything.
Yeah.
That was the most humbling experience was, okay, you don't know everything. That means when you don't feel good or you know you're going down the wrong path, know to surround yourself with the wisest counsel possible so you don't fall in a pit. Man, dude, people, us, especially guys, are notorious for getting out on an island by ourselves trying to survive. Here's the problem with getting out on an island by yourself. Think about the whole concept of an island that's out in the middle of the water, right?
Yeah.
Everybody don't always make it back. Everybody doesn't always make it back.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a fact.
The drowning comes when people are by themselves and they're tired. There's nothing to hold on to and nobody to hold on to. SOS doesn't work.
Yeah, that's well said.
Yeah, it's very well said. So that gave me chills, bro.
Man, it's like the mental aspect. Man, I hit rock bottom, bro. And when I hit rock bottom, I didn't know what to do. I prayed. I prayed. I reached out to people. I started reaching out to other people. And here's where the weakness of my circle came. I was reaching out to people that had never been through what I'd been through. So they didn't know what I was talking about. They couldn't identify with me.
Yeah. They couldn't help.
Nope, they couldn't help. They wanted to. They didn't turn their back on me. But what they were saying is, pull yourself up. Get out of there. Cool. I can't. I couldn't at that time.
What was that rock bottom moment? What was that?
Man, the rock bottom moment was when I'd lost everything. I didn't have a place to live. I was out of school. And I was sleeping in the back of my car. And I was sitting, and it didn't have to be there. I had family that would have put me in their house, but I was too proud.
Yeah.
Too proud to say I don't have anything. My friends would have been like, man, you can stay at my home. I wasn't going to say anything. My rock bottom moment was I had a son that I knew I needed to take care of. And here I am. I don't have anything. I literally have nothing. That was actually my first step at admitting I was powerless. That for me admitting I was powerless, coming to grips with it, was an open opportunity to walk through the other 11 steps. Listen, I'm not telling everybody doesn't need that, but the people that do, if you ever get a chance, I'm not saying everybody's addicted to drugs or alcohol. They're not. But sometimes people are addicted to chaotic lifestyles, man.
Oh, that's a fact.
Chaos is one of the most addictive
That is a
things.
fact.
So people are like, hey, man, I'm everything is good. I'm going to do something bad because everything's been too good today. And it gets ingrained in them.
Yeah.
The world needs to walk through a 12-step and get to step 4. It's a fearless and moral inventory of yourself. When you can do that, then you will recognize that you don't know everything and that you need other people and things around you to support you, man. That's why, like, what you do here is amazing, man. This right here, this podcast, you're appealing to different groups of people. Everybody ain't the same. Everybody might hear this. We get 10 people here. They're different message from me. Here's one thing they can hear, though. If they have to reach out to me, they can DM me because I've got resources for people that have mental health struggles, people that need conversations around suicide prevention, people that need addiction help. Holla at your boy. Yeah. That's about as crazy as I can say it right there, man. Holla at me because I know I can hear them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Dude,
good.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say I could definitely sympathize with being addicted to the chaos because I grew up in complete, in chaos. There were definitely good parts. Other people, it's like Michael was saying yesterday, if we could all throw our problems in the middle, I'd take mine back and run, right? So I get that part of it, but yeah, I had my parents got divorced when I was 3.5. My mom moved to Nashville. She marries my stepdad at the time who was abusive, had drug problems, alcohol problems, hold on yards. My dad still lived in East Tennessee, so I was going there every couple of weeks. My side of the family on that side is Baptist, like super hardcore Baptist. But I was growing up on a daily basis with an atheist, and like so much chaos. And then like as an adult, I started realizing like I'm almost more when things are going well, I'm almost more uncomfortable.
Trauma.
Yeah.
Each just like
everybody's trauma is different.
Everybody's trauma is different, man. We both had significant injuries, and I've had some significant injuries that have almost killed me.
Yeah.
Same as you. Each one of those is a trauma to our body, and our body keeps the score.
Yeah.
Our body will keep the score. Your body will remind you one day that, well, you're not going to bend that way today.
Yeah.
Well, your brain does the same thing. As when you've been through certain things, sometimes you might be reminded of something that happened when you were 13 or 14 years old, and you might respond as a 40-year-old man like a 13-year-old child. Because you never got past that broken space. It's never been fixed.
Can I jump on that real quick? So my upstairs neighbors in my apartment, they yell at each other all the time. But I mean, every once in a while, but it's pretty bad when they do. And relatively, my life's very not like that. I've built my life to not have that kind of chaos that I grew up with. Yelling at, parents yelling at each other, all this shit. But whenever I hear them yelling at each other, dude, it's like my whole body locks up. It's just a rush of anxiety. And a lot of that stuff I feel like I've gotten... it's like I've kind of gotten past, but when you hear that, and whenever as growing up, I heard that above me, and it was my parents, right, or my stepdad and my mom. So like it's interesting even now, even as much progress as I've made. Whenever I hear that, dude, it's like my whole body's like instantly like it's like I'm there again.
That's an adverse experience, man.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes left, and I want because I want to get the photo and get you a couple things.
Okay.
But it's a couple important parts, and we'll finish it. We're going to do this again.
We
got a lot to talk about.
Sure.
I love how this conversation is flowing. It's unfortunate we can't just record all day. But I know, you've overcome some pretty crazy things. So one, you had a couple heart attacks during BJJ training camp.
Man, absolutely, man. So I've had two, and I'll go just real quick into those, man. I was with my coach Sean Hammonds, was getting me ready to go compete in Las Vegas at the Master Worlds. So Master Worlds is the best of the best in the world. Get out there and just kind of have it out, and then go eat hamburgers together when you're done. It's like the coolest event in the world. So I was getting ready, and we were running drills. It was hot, man, and I was with these two other guys, Sean and Andrew, and man, I kind of felt lightheaded, and I was in my prime shape. I was 38 at the time, 38 years old. Literally, I had felt better, stronger, faster because I was smarter. I trained smarter. I ate smarter. Body was good. And you've been there. You're an athlete. You've been there. You're like, I'm at my prime peak. Man, I got dizzy, couldn't breathe. I kept getting tired. And one of the guys, he took me down, and when he landed on me, I couldn't breathe. And I was like, man, I need to sit down for a minute. Anyway, I went and left, and the coach said, hey, man, maybe you should stop for the day because you don't look good. Man, I went and got out in the car, and as I started to drive, I started losing my vision. Then when I lost my vision, I lost the movement in my hands. I couldn't feel my hands, but I could move my arms. This was happening to me while I was driving down Lebanon Road. I lived in Mount Juliet at the time. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Oh, you said you were 38? So
38
when
years
was
old.
this?
This was 9 years ago.
So 9 years ago. Years ago would have been 2015?
Yep.
2014?
2015.
So that was around the time I knew you.
Yep. That was right around the time you knew me, man. It was like, it was 8 years ago. It was 39. It was 8 years ago.
Gotcha.
I just turned 39. Yep. You knew me then.
Yeah.
And man, when I tell you, brother, my hands locked up, my arms locked up. I felt a pain in my right quad, my leg just like a stinger, and then it felt like somebody hit me in the back with a sledgehammer. Right then, because my father had a heart attack, and I remembered him telling me what he felt, I knew that I was going into that was what was happening.
You're like, I'm having
a heart attack, man, and I was driving,
and being in that health, that shape, you did not expect it.
I did not expect it, man. I just didn't know what to do, so I drove home.
Oh my
God! I drove all the way home from Lebanon to Mount Juliet from IMA Mixed Martial Arts. Man, I drove, freaking out the whole time. Sweat was pouring off me. I was soaking wet. Got in my driveway, drove into the driveway, and then drove into the yard and put it in park and crawled out of the car and went in the house. Went into the house, and at the time I was married, and my ex-wife came in and found me on the floor. She literally was just on the way home and found me on the floor. And she's like, what's going on? You're soaking wet. And I said, I don't know. My body's tight. She tried to pick me up. We couldn't get me up. So we finally got me to the car. And we went to Summit Hospital. When I got to Summit Hospital, they looked at me and said, he's having a heart attack. How long has this been happening? I said, well, for about 45 minutes. I bet that's
when things clicked too. You were like, holy shit, when they said that.
When they confirmed it.
Man, they confirmed it. I thought it. So, I'm looking around and I'm going in and going out. And then I flatlined. Now you can read my medical report,
bro.
I completely went out. It was gone,
dude. That's another one, Joe.
So when I woke up on the table, they had taken my clothes off and they were about to revive me. They taking my shirt off, and I woke up and just stopped and I looked at them, and what happened is I leveled out. I leveled out for a moment. They were like, "He's up, he's up." Then they said, "Hey, we'll wake you up in just a little bit. We're gonna put you to sleep. We got to go in. Something's happened. You got a blockage." Just real quick conversation. So I woke up 8 hours later in a room. Everybody was asleep. And I was looking around. I was like, what happened? I started to try to get up. I couldn't get up. I couldn't feel my waist down. I didn't know where I was at.
Shit.
I thought in my mind, here's me processing. I had a car wreck. I don't have any legs.
Oh, you didn't remember driving home?
Nope. I didn't remember anything.
It's a shitty thing.
So I looked around and I was like, I couldn't, because what they did is they went through my leg, through my groin, through my stomach, went in and pulled. I had a 100% blockage in my right coronary artery. I was supposed to die. Damn. I had an enlarged heart. It's called an athlete's heart. I had been training like that probably for about a year.
Sheesh.
They said that the trauma that had been done on my insides. Yeah. It was like I just was bullheaded and wouldn't stop. And man, I'll tell you something, man. The doctor came in, they came in and talked to me. When I woke up, the guy came in. Oh, hey, see, you're up. How you doing? This is what happened. I was like, man, I couldn't feel my legs. I thought my legs were gone, brother.
Yeah.
He said, you had a heart attack, blockage. He said, you survived because of whatever you're doing. And I was like, well, what do you mean?
He didn't even know.
You know, it's funny.
He didn't know.
What's crazy is, just to connect with that, like when I woke up from my accident, they were like, if you weren't in the shape you're in, you'd be dead.
That's exactly what he said to me.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that's what the guy said to me. He's like, what exactly do you do? I said, man, I do jiu-jitsu, man. I was getting ready for a tournament. He said, keep doing it. He said, when you come out of here, keep doing it. He said, your heart literally stopped working and your body kept you alive till your heart came back online. Wild. And it was like, I was like, oh, okay. It's like, good for me, good for you. Yeah. Good for you. So, I made it through that. And I was getting ready for Master Worlds and it was like 8-9 weeks away. I still went and competed. Fuck yeah. I got back. I lost. I couldn't. I lost. You won, but I won the match. To me, I won. I fought a guy from Great Britain. Me and him went at it, man, and he's the guy that ended up winning our whole division. Yeah. And me and him fought to the bell. We fought to the last second. Yeah. And we couldn't beat. Neither one of us could get off the ground.
You're a dog.
That's exactly what he said.
You are a dog.
And when I told him, I was like, man, I just survived a heart attack, and I stayed and cheered the guy on. What was his reaction? I cheered him on. He couldn't believe it. Like, he actually took selfies with me to send back home. He said, I just fought a guy that had a heart attack like 8 weeks ago.
That's wild.
So, after that, it was an experience for me. And then in 2020, what happened is I was training again. And this was right before COVID hit. It was the day that Kobe Bryant passed away in a helicopter.
Yeah. I remember that vividly.
So I was in the gym training and I started coughing. I just coughing. I've been through training for about an hour watching the kids go. And I coughed and my back tightened up. And I was with my friend and I said, hey, take me to the hospital. And she said, what's wrong? I said, just run me to the hospital. I said, just want to make sure.
You had a feeling?
Yeah, I had the feeling. By the time I got there, I barely made it into the ER, got on the ER, and the guy looked at me. And this is what the doctor said. He looked at me. He pulled he looked at me, pulled open the sheet. He said, you'll be good. I'll wait. Oh, guy, probably 80 years old. He had scrubs on hanging in his boot. Had cowboy boots on and scrubs. Never seen anything like that in my life. I'll never forget this guy.
Hell yeah, that's my kind of doctor right there.
I knew when I saw him I was going to live. Yeah. That guy was going to make me live.
I'm in good hands.
He have a Marlboro hanging out.
He had a Marlboro hanging out.
Had a cool in his ear. Yeah, 22 minutes later, he woke me up, held it up, and said, your stent collapsed.
Oh, shit.
He said, this is the most, 1 in a million. Yeah. Stent collapsed. He said, what do you do? I said, well, I do jiu-jitsu. He said, man, you should keep doing that.
Damn.
And I said, man, it's the same thing, man. And then I went to sleep and woke up and, Kobe Bryant had passed away. And I actually thought I was dreaming when I was told that.
Wow.
I was like, Kobe died in a helicopter crash. And I was like, no way.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. I just thought it was
a dream
or something. It was a dream. But I got up, and 3 weeks later, I went right back into the gym. I remember all my jiu-jitsu guys came and supported me in the gym, man. Every one of the guys came in the gym they just came from the gym. Brought me Rubik's Cubes and all kinds of other stuff. They were like, bro, you need to chill out. So 4 weeks later, I was right back on the mats training, and I haven't missed a beat. And I want to say this to anybody that can listen, man, no matter what you've been through trauma-wise, keep moving.
Keep moving.
Keep moving. You and I both have been through some.
That's the message I keep pushing, man.
Yeah, man. Keep
always
freaking moving. Don't stop moving. It's good for your mental health. It's good. Our mental and physical health are completely tied together. Yeah. And if you stop moving and you stop working, you stop grinding, your brain stops working.
It's going to stop with you.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm guessing real quick. So is that a hereditary thing or?
Absolutely. It was hereditary. So what it was genetics.
Yeah. Genetics.
I was in perfect shape, but I had a genetic flaw that was just in there.
And are you good now? Or?
Yeah, I'm good now. I go for regular checks. I get the stress test. I'm in really good shape now, but I stress that to anybody that you can't outrun genetics.
Yeah, I mean, so this is crazy too, because like my last year, I have a graft on my aorta now, because of the aneurysm, and apparently, I guess grafts are extremely durable. They're supposed to last your whole life, but I did get one at 28, so I need to get it checked out, and and last year I was having some. I think it was stress and stuff like that, but I was having some high blood pressure, and I had some abnormal EKG, abnormal stress test. So they sent me to get a cath downtown. Of course, you're awake when that happens. So the surgeon's like, hey, as a Vandy doc, he was like, hey, your heart looks healthy. I was like, good. Oh. But then what do you know? Like right after that, my dad competed in the Ironman World Championships in Utah. My parents do Ironman competitions, and so they're fucking freaks in their own right. And my dad's, just turned 60 years old. And right after that, he starts feeling weird. He goes to the hospital, And
he
had the odd feelings. He didn't have a heart attack, but they checked him out. He had a 95% blockage into LAD. And now he's got a stent. He's like, holy shit. But guess what? I don't know if he's competing anytime soon, but he's still doing his biking. He's still doing his swimming, his running shit, because you got to keep moving. But now I know it's like, obviously there's some kind of connection there. So it's something I need to keep an eye on as well.
Absolutely, man. One of my best training partners, a guy that I trained with for years. When I told him, when I left the hospital, he called me and said, what happened? And I told him, I said, man, I didn't have any warning signs. I said, I just went out.
Yeah.
He said, man, I'm going to go check because we talked about my dad. He said, I'm going to go check. I didn't hear from him for 3 days. He went in to get a check, and they made him go into immediate surgery. He had to get 3 different stents put in one day. He was on the border of dying.
Wow.
Insane.
And he felt fine. He had no idea.
Had no idea. He just told me he did jiu-jitsu with me and trained. And guess what kept him alive? Jiu-jitsu, the training, the training, the process. Jiu-jitsu is not the only sport. Actually, people, whatever you do, whatever you're doing that keeps your heart pumping and your brain working, because your brain can actually tell your body to stay online.
Yeah.
When your organs fail, man. It's like, it was one of the most spiritual moments I had. I'll tell you this, man, and coming through that, nothing's gonna stop me.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna stop me.
I feel you.
I serve people, man.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of people that have suffered from addiction, people that have been incarcerated, all that. These are my people. These are our people.
Yeah, they need you.
They need that. Exactly. You better believe it. And I'm going to give to them. I think that I was given a second chance and a third chance to make sure that I go out and make sure that they can go out and influence people in their communities.
You're having an impact, And we talked about that. I had a message on an order the other day, and like this guy said, I love what you're doing. Long story short, he was like, I tried to take my life I had that You Matter shirt. He's like, I tried to take my life a year and some months ago, and I love your podcast. I love what y'all are doing. He said, keep doing it. He said, men need it. People need it. Thank you. And I was like, dude, the fact that he said people need that, I was like, we're doing something fucking right, bro.
Alpha males telling other alpha males it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Bro, that's the perfect prescription right there. Right there. Guys look to other guys for leadership.
Yep.
So when they see apex,
that's a fact.
Apex predators saying, "Hey, I don't feel good today.
Right.
I have anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling my best." Then they're like, you know what? I can do that too.
Hell yeah.
And that's what I just want to jump in real quick on a couple of things. I know we got to go of what you said. So for a little bit more context too, whenever he went to go have that done on his heart because he thought something was wrong, we had talked a few times about how he never really dealt with anxiety before. And he was feeling a lot of anxiety. And he was like, I didn't really realize it could make you feel this way. Man. To the point that he went and got that check and he was good to go. But he was feeling so anxious and stressed out that he thought he was having heart issues.
Internal constriction.
Right. Yep. And so that just tells you, first of all, again, when you're talking about saying that it's okay to say that you're not okay and being vulnerable, bro, anxiety is not a joke. Like, people, it's just like the astrology stuff. It's like, you got your pop culture version of it, and you got people that think everything's anxiety. But when you really are dealing with anxiety on a day-to-day basis, dude, you are in hell, man. Yeah. You are. It turns good things.
You just made me think about something, man.
It twists things around like in ways that you would never expect.
Well,
I mean,
emotions lie to you.
Yes,
emotions make you. They lie to you.
And that's what when we had Jesse on the other day. I said that one of the biggest issues with anxiety and that kind of stuff is that voice in your head that's saying all that negative shit. I said one of the issues that one of the biggest struggles that I personally had, and I assume that this is for other people that deal with anxiety, is like that demon, that voice in your head that beats you down and shit, it comes disguised as your voice, right? Like you hear it in your head as your voice. So it can be very difficult to distinguish between, is that me or is that...
We got to come back on this.
Okay, we got to come back.
No, we got to come back. That voice is called the id. You got the id, the ego, and the super ego.
I know about that.
Yep, and that id is that knee-jerk reaction. That's the one you have to train to not respond like that.
Yep.
You got it. That's where dude, you just opened the door to that. That's the muscle memory. That's the voice you train to, I'm not going to say that. I can. Sitting on my deathbed, you've been on your deathbed.
Yep.
And if I had have given up, I think I would have died. I think right there on that spot, if I had quit, I think I would have gone.
That's a fact. I talk about this all the time because I remember getting on the life flight and everything felt unreal. And then when they loaded me on that stretcher, they said, I was just like, am I going to die or something? They're like, sir, we're going to try to keep that from happening. And I got on that life flight and I just thought about my family and I just thought about the people in my life. And you know, I thought about, you know, the things I believe in. I had this little vision, and I was like, you got to fucking stay, Joe. I said, you're going to stay alive, bro. And I just remember telling myself that over and over again. And then I woke up, you know,
and that's it. That's it.
Yep.
You willed yourself. You
Yep.
told your body, don't quit on me because I got something to do.
Yep.
You
Willpower,
got something,
baby.
Yep.
Yep.
That's what's up, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
I got to hear you. I want your story on this thing one time, man. Look, I want to cross-interview you and take the pad and ask you some questions, bro.
Well,
we got to do another episode.
So let's plan that, man. So when you come back, we're going to get you back here in the next couple of weeks. I'm fired up about this combo, you know, because there's other things I want to talk to you, obviously, about, you know, more stuff from the heart attacks and what you've learned, you know, which a little bit more about your job, because I find that very valuable.
Okay.
You know, current projects, all that stuff. And yeah, you can cross interview me and we'll make it,
man,
make some good shit out
let's
of
do it, man. Anytime, anything you need from me, I respect what you do. The whole concept of a relentless pursuit. That's, you know, that's
shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that's
Relentless, baby.
This tattoo. This is you know, it's one of, in the fight culture. That was known as a relentless attacker.
Yeah,
that was a nickname that I had. They was just like, oh, it's relentless. It's just coming.
Yeah.
So when I see, you know, talking to you, knowing you, and seeing this relentless pursuit of what you're trying to get, it can go after the word pursuit can be so many things.
That's what my model is, because people are like, oh, you're a fitness brand. I'm like, no, fitness is in there, but you got fitness, you got your spirituality, you got your relationships, you got your career goals. This is a relentless pursuit of everything in your life.
Everything in your life, man. And so now what I've got is a relentless pursuit of our friendship.
Hell yeah.
Because I think that we can do some things and reach some people that maybe don't realize that we're there for them.
Yeah.
Their voice counts. They count.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They freaking matter.
They do.
They matter, man.
Yeah.
You need that shirt.
Yes, I need that shirt. I need that shirt.
Any closing statements, gentlemen?
Hey, I'm good. Anything you got to say?
No, man, I want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing with me. Thank you for letting me express. I appreciate coming on and being a part of this. Dude, I think that it was a divine moment that we met each other for us to get to this point.
Yeah.
So whatever our purpose is in this space, let's run it, bro.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Looking forward to it, bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks for coming, guys.
Whew. Yeah.
We're out.
That was good stuff, man.
Bro, I'm fired up. That was such a good podcast.
Yeah, we got some stuff.
That was such, like, the energy there was.
Yeah.